What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Um, Good evening, morning, whatever it is that you're watching. Obviously, I'm trying to make more headway on the bike and trying to get the rear swing arm put on so that I can get the rear tire and everything mounted back on it. My goal was to try to get it back to a place that the bike could support itself so that I could basically start working on the wiring harness. Um, I did notice when I was editing the video that the focus kept going in and out for some reason. I don't know. I need to check the settings on my camera. I am smoking a pipe while I'm working. Do that from time to time. If you're interested in what it is, I can share that with you at another point. That's something I've kind of gotten back into in the last year or so, and enjoying some of the different seasonal blends and things that come out with pipe tobacco. But this video is not about that, so I won't go on about pipe smoking. Um, so I bought these rear shocks aftermarket off Amazon. Again, all these things that I'm using on the bike are going to be in the description down below. A friend of mine that has a motorcycle as well, it's really the only close friend that I have that also rides. Him and I were kind of talking about it, and again, these are not expensive shocks. Really, none of this stuff that I have bought for the bike is necessarily up to this point been super expensive parts. If I was, like I told him, if I was working on the internals of the engine, I would buy top of the line premium parts. But as far as just trying to get the bike back together and in a functioning state and verify the engine is running okay and everything, I'm really not that concerned about getting extremely expensive parts that I could easily change out at a later date. So again, my interpretation on this Cafe Racer may not be everybody's. I like the way it's coming out, and that's all that's important to me. But like I said, some of the parts, they're just not crazy expensive. They're just run-of-the-mill aftermarket parts, but I will have everything listed down below. I'm happy with the look of it as of right now and how it's coming back together. So here I'm learning how to reseal these front forks. For those of you who do know a little bit more about me, I did have a career as a mechanic for about a decade. I went to college for mechanical work. I do construction now, so I am familiar with the mechanical end of things. I have never done a motorcycle before, so this is pretty much all new to me. There may be some discrepancy on how I'm handling the forks here. I'm obviously aware of that. I don't know that it will affect the seals, the fork seals, wiper seals on the fork tube, but the state that I had got this motorcycle in, there was some flaking and pitting on that chrome, and I didn't really want to sand on it much at all, but I did use a really fine grit just to get any flakes off of that chrome, because as much as I didn't really want to sand on the tubes, I knew that any kind of flaking is definitely going to cut into the wiper seals. So I was just trying to kind of clean that up and not really necessarily take any material off, but just get things kind of cleaned up. So there was a set screw at the bottom of the fork tube that I took out and kind of drained the majority of the oil out of the fork. Here, it might look like I've got the fork in a bind or the tube in a bind, but I've clamped it where the bike actually clamps it down where the axle goes through the bottom of the fork, so this shouldn't hurt anything. I definitely didn't want to put any clamping force up on the hollow part of the tube, but I've got the seals out here, used a seal puller. I did watch a video where a guy had to use, if you take a standard spark plug socket and put it backwards on a long extension. I had a 2-foot 3/8 drive extension. Put the spark plug socket on it backwards. That will fit down inside of there and hold the I don't even know exactly what they call that part. It's the the chrome part of the fork tube that goes inside of the lower portion of the fork, and you have to hold that while you undo the Allen key that is at the bottom of the fork. So here I'm tightening it back up, and it's got the new seals on it. I didn't film, and you'll probably realize in the majority of the videos on the bike, I didn't really film a lot of like painting and things like that on it. So you will see the forks go back onto the bike fully painted. I think I stated at the end of the video, these fork tubes, as far as the manual showed, to hold about 9 ounces of oil, and I got obviously new fork oil. I sprayed everything out with brake clean, parts cleaner, and then filled them back up. I'm using a mason jar because that was the only clean device or clean container I could find that had measurements on the side of it. So that might look a little weird, but hey, it worked at the time. Probably better than getting something out of the kitchen and pissing my wife off. So just putting the keepers and retainers back in it. And here I've got both forks already cleaned up, repainted, resealed, new oil, and I'm trying to get the bearings back in the fork in the races here. So I'm putting new grease on them, and then I had kept all of the bearings as they came out when I separated the tube, and I'm placing them back in there, and then just putting a good coat of grease on them to kind of keep everything in place. You probably won't catch it because the time lapse. Doing these time lapses is really difficult because sometimes it moves things faster than what I really wanted it to be, but I try to do it so that the video is not extremely long and you can still see what I'm doing. But here what I was getting at is I keep trying to use this, it's more of like a construction wood vise or clamp, and I'm trying to hold it, but it slips off right here and falls to the floor. All my bearings go everywhere. That's right where about it was, and if I would have included the audio, you would have probably have heard some not choice words when that fell out of there, but I had to regather my bearings, clean everything back up, repack everything, and put it back together. So I think I have to take this castle nut back off because I forgot the collar underneath of it, but it wasn't too difficult to get that back together. Again, I just kind of used some grease and put the bearings back where they go, and I'm trying to kind of dry fit the triple tree back on so that I can get the fork tube slid in. I was waiting on the new boots that I was putting on the forks. Again, everything I was doing was trying to kind of clean up and protect that fork tube and make it to where you could not see some of the rust and pitting marks on the fork, as well as stop any future rust and things on the fork tube. So I switched gears. I'm working on the harness here. Again, I'm not sure why the video kept going in and out of focus so badly. Usually that's not an issue. I'm going to try to see if that's an issue on my camera. But I did inspect a couple spots on the harness where I was checking to make sure that nothing had been cut into, and I bought some new wire loom and wanted to kind of protect the harness and clean up any of the areas where it just didn't look good and make things look a little bit more fresh. So I put some new loom on it, and I'm taping it in place and trying to go through and situate what's got to go back on and where all the wiring's going to go. I did end up, and I'm not sure if I filmed it, but there's a section where I cut the fuse block out of the bike. It was like that when I got it, and I basically remade the connections to everything in the fuse that would have been in the fuse block, and only fused the main battery lead. I did have a fuse block that I was going to try to use, but I was not happy with how it was coming out. Here I'm placing some of the carbon fiber wrap back on the forks. Obviously, I'm starting to make some headway on the bike. I think you could tell that in the video. Getting the forks rebuilt, or at least changing the seals, was what I had done on them. Was not too bad. As of filming this, I'm a little bit further ahead on the bike
than where the video left off. The forks really weren't too difficult to reseal, or at least I didn't think so for what I ended up doing to them. You probably couldn't tell in the video, I ended up adding about 9 ounces per each fork tube of new clean fork oil back in. That's per the climber manual that I have as far as what this bike holds. You probably saw me starting at the end of the video as well. I had seen another guy online do this, and being as that this fork had a little bit of pitting on it, I was trying to kind of cover up some of that pitting on the chrome. That's also a little bit of an issue that I had. You probably saw me sanding on the fork tubes. That's probably not advised. This is my hopefully fix for the time being, and that it actually is okay and it stays okay. With resealing the forks, I used a very, very fine grit. I think it was a 300 grit sandpaper on the forks, and I was trying to get rid of any of that chrome flaking on the forks. I've explored a lot of different avenues on how I kind of wanted to go about doing this. I thought about trying to pick up another set of forks that were for a bike like this that was in better shape. I thought about converting the fork over to a street bike fork. For right now, and for the purpose of getting the bike put back together as much as possible to verify that the engine runs and everything else, I just decided to resell these forks and see how well that holds up for the time being until I can get the rest of the bike put back together. And I may explore putting a street bike fork on it later down the road, but that was my fix for the time being. I obviously added some fork boots on there, and then you probably, like I was getting ready to say, you saw me put the carbon fiber wrap on at the end of the video. I had seen another person do that, and I think it looks pretty good for what it is. I'm going to actually take this back off and redo it when I have a new set of bars coming in, some actual clip-on bars that'll go on those fork tubes. The bars that I had bought don't really fit the way that I want them to, so that'll be in some of the upcoming videos. And like I said, I'm actually a little further along as of filming this than where the video cuts off. So putting the harness on and some other things you'll see in the upcoming videos that I already have some footage filmed for. So I just wanted to kind of give you all an update so that I could get this video up on rebuilding the forks. Side note, if anybody is watching this, I had put the video up to give away the Senna Bluetooth helmet. I've got little to zero comments left on that video. I know I'm a small channel. If you would share it and tell your friends, I'm just trying to do it as a give back to you all. If you're already a subscriber to the channel, all you have to do is comment on that video and you're entered to win a $300 helmet. I said when we reach 10,000 subscribers, I would give the helmet away. So far, I haven't seen any comments or subscriptions come in off of that video. Again, like I said, I know I'm a smaller channel, but it's a free $300 helmet. If I didn't make that clear before, the helmet's 100% free. I'm paying for everything, and I will ship it to you. Even if maybe you don't ride and you know someone that does ride, it's still free. Or even if you resold it, I don't have any control over that. But I'm just trying to get a decent helmet out there. It's one that I truly believe in. It's one that I wear when I ride. I just thought it would be a neat thing to try to do some give back to you all, but I've really not seen any interaction with that video. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But I'm not going to give a helmet away if that video doesn't get the subscriptions. So I can't give the helmet away unless I get to 10,000 subscribers. So again, just wanted to reiterate that. Hopefully that gets some people to go over and actually comment on the video. Either way, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate all the support on the channel. You know, hopefully, again, you all do like these types of videos. I just try to make everything truly what I'm interested in at the time. I don't try to make the channel some rigid thing of every little different thing that I could film that would just benefit the channel, or just deck videos or this or that. I try to genuinely make it about what I'm involved in at the time and what I'm interested in. So again, we appreciate it. You know, those of you who know who I'm talking to will get that message. But we look forward to seeing you on the next video. As always, take care and have a good day.